Today I'm going to show you how to make pepper steak and cauliflower rice. So the pepper steak we're going to make is going to be the ones that is on the menu in a Chinese restaurant. So keep watching. I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to create this. So the first thing I want you to do is rinse and wash your cauliflower. You're going to do that in apple cider vinegar and water. Then you're going to grab yourself a bowl just to keep the mess, a little bit clean. And then you're going to grab yourself a towel. This is a water resistant towel, or you can use a cheesecloth if you have that. You're going to have yourself a grater as well, and you want the small grater because you want it to resemble rice. When you get your cauliflower clean and dried off, what you're going to do is you are going to break it down. So you're going to break off small pieces after you take the leaves out. You're going to break off small pieces and any kind that can fit your hand. And you are simply going to grate this. You are going to grate it until you get down to the stem. Please take your time in doing this. You do not want to cut your fingers. They have different kind of graters. This is just the one I have always had, but please do as you see me doing right here. You just want to grate it. Please keep in mind that the cauliflower will fly everywhere, so you want to prep your station properly so at least it's not that big of a mess. So after you get done grating on the cauliflower, you should see this right here. It should look exactly like this. You just want to pull all the cauliflower out. Now the next thing that you're going to do is you are going to squeeze all of the water and the moisture out of the cauliflower. This is very important. If you do not do this, it will not turn into rice. It will be very soggy, and we do not want that. So you want to take your time and squeeze out all of the water. Do this a couple times. And this towel is clean for those that want to ask a question like that. Yes, I'm using a clean towel, but if you have a cheesecloth, please use that one. So next we are going to set this in the refrigerator. You just want this to chill as you prep everything else. So you are going to take your choice of meat, well, steak of course, and you are going to slice it. You want to thinly slice this because there's going to be a lot of steak in this dish. So the kind of steak that you want to stick to is either going to be a sirloin or a flank steak. But if you want to use something else, go ahead and use something else. Whatever it is that you use, please make sure that you trim off all of the fat. So what I'm doing right here is you see me slicing it thinly, and then I'm putting it in a bowl, and then I am going to slice those into additional slices. So I'm just going to slice the slice in half. So you are going to briefly see me checking the steak, and then right here you're going to see me slice in half. I did that to the rest of the pieces of steak. One other thing that you do want to remember is to cut against the grain. So not all the pieces are going to be perfect, but keep in mind, as I told you, to please make sure that you do cut off all of the fat. And please at least try to cut against the grain. If you do not, you will have a very tough piece of meat. Every time I have steak, what I do is I do flatten them out with a mallet. You don't have to do this, but I find that it does tenderize the meat really well, in my opinion. If you're doing like filet mignon, you don't want to hit it too hard or pound it too hard because you don't want a filet mignon to be flat. Before a steak like this, you definitely can hit it a couple extra times. So after you get your steak sliced up to your liking, it is very important not to let this sit in the refrigerator. You want the steak at room temperature when you begin to cook it. So simple, just sit it to the side on the counter. Do not refrigerate this. So now we are about to season the steak. So we're going to do pepper steak. So we want quite a bit of pepper. So go ahead and look at the bottom left corner. You will find all of the ingredients and the measurements. So what we're going to add is quite a bit of pepper because we are making pepper steak. We're going to add two teaspoons of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of white pepper. We're also going to add 1 teaspoon of soy sauce. If you notice, I will not add extra salt because there is salt in the soy sauce. Then you're going to add 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, and then 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. After we get those in here, the next thing you're going to do, you want to mix this together. We are not done seasoning the meat. It is almost done. And if you do not have the sesame oil, you can use regular olive oil. So after you get the first set of ingredients into the bowl, what you're going to do is briefly mix this up. You simply just want everything well combined before you add the baking soda. Please add baking soda and not baking powder. So we are only going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. As you see here, you'll see me adding just a little bit of the baking soda. After you get that into the bowl and you get that mixed up, next you're going to go ahead and add some squeezed ginger. So you want to add about a half a tablespoon of squeezed ginger. You do not need a lot of this because this is very, very powerful. So after that, you are just going to mix everything in well. And please take your time doing this. At this point, you should be able to smell a really, really strong flavor right now. Next, what you're going to do is you are going to clean and you are going to slice your bell peppers. So I have a red bell pepper and I have a green bell pepper. You can slice this as thin or as thick as you like. In my opinion, I would say medium, not thin, not thick, kind of medium, because this is pepper steak and rice. You also can leave some of the seeds. They do give the pepper steak dish a really good flavor. So once you get them cleaned, the white part is technically the vein, so you want to make sure that you are pulling everything out. As you can see here, I'm cutting the vein out. You do not want to necessarily eat that part, but some people do. So if you want to, leave it in, but for this recipe, please take it out. So you can do whatever kind of pepper that you like. Traditionally, they do use green pepper and they do use red pepper. If you are someone who wants yellow peppers, go ahead and add that in. If you want to add in some onions, go ahead and add that in. But I am showing you the traditional way of how to make this. But you cannot do this dish without peppers. If you didn't know, I am someone who I do not like peppers. I don't like anything about peppers. Like I don't like raw vegetables. Like all my vegetables have to be sauteed. I cannot just sit there and eat a raw vegetable. So that is why you always see me steaming vegetables, sauteing vegetables, or cooking them in some kind of way. It is no problem if you are one of those people that do like raw vegetables, but I do not. And another quick tip, that if you want to add an onion to this dish, make sure you add a white onion or a Vidalia onion. A Vidalia onion is like a sweet onion. Some people eat those by themselves. So if you are someone who wants onion in here, please use my suggestion, which is the Vidalia onion. So I am doing 3 servings. So I sliced up all of my peppers. Now we are going to begin to cook. So you want to take 1 tablespoon of olive oil, whatever kind of oil that you prefer, and then you are going to drop those peppers into that pan. Make sure that pan is on medium to high heat. We want this very hot because we want to char these vegetables. When you first drop the peppers in the pan, you're going to coat them. You're going to give them an even coating of the oil. You're going to let those cook for a couple minutes, and then you're going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. So next we are going to create the sauce that we are going to cook the steak and the vegetables in. So what I want you guys to do is add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. And you can do this in a bowl or whatever that it is that you have. You're also going to add some sesame seed oil. You're going to add some minced garlic. And you're going to get that mixed in very well. And then you're going to add some brown sugar. This brown sugar will balance out the salt in the soy sauce. So what we're basically doing is creating a sauce with the same ingredients that we use to season the steak. The only additional thing that we added was brown sugar. After the brown sugar is dissolved, you are now going to add some rice vinegar. Once you add that in, you are now going to just give that another quick stir, and then you're going to go back to your stove and you are going to remove the peppers from the pan. Please do not rinse the pan out. We want the oils and everything in that pan to cook the meat. So please take your time doing this. You don't want to burn yourself. This whole meal took less than 30 minutes to make and about, I would say, 5 minutes to prepare, but it was definitely less than 30 minutes to make. So after you get the peppers out of the pan, you are going to just take your steak and you are going to lay that into the pan. Keep in mind that this pan is a cast iron and it is very hot. If you don't have a cast iron, you can use whatever you have, but you still want the heat on medium to high. So after about 4 minutes, you are going to flip the steak. Before you flip it, you just want to move them around just to make sure they are not sticking, because if you need to add more oil, you can do so. So you're going to flip the steak now, and as you can see, you'll see it starting to char up a little bit. So we don't want to cook this all the way through because we are going to add the sauce, and the sauce is going to continue to cook the steak. So after you get them flipped, the whole thing, everything flipped, you're going to cook it for about 2 more minutes. And hearing me say cook a steak for 4 minutes and then 2 minutes, it's a concern that it's not done. It's not supposed to be all the way done. We don't want a really tough steak. We want a really juicy and tender steak. And also keep in mind that this pan is very hot, so it's cooking quicker than any usual steak. So once you get the steak flipped, I'm going to show you a clip of what it should look like for you. Because if it is done correctly, it should look exactly like this. As you can see, it is not all the way done because we are not finished cooking. So next you are going to take your peppers and you are simply going to toss those in the same pan with the steak. You want to mix everybody in, let everybody meet. And after you feel like everybody is mixed in well, you are going to grab your sauce and you are simply going to dump all the sauce into the pan. At this point, you are going to turn the heat down. You're going to turn it to low to medium instead of medium to high. As you can see here, it is cooking quite quickly. And this is a dish where you have to work with it. So you're going to mix it and stir it. Shake the pan a little bit just so you make sure that it is cooking evenly. And now it should look like this. You are going to simmer this for a couple minutes as well. And we have one last step before we are completely done. The next thing you're going to do is add this. This is a thickening agent. So this is 1 tablespoon of cornstarch plus 2 tablespoons of water. When you add this, it will get thick because for pepper steak and rice, you do not want a thin sauce. So right here you see me add it, and after you add that thickening agent, it will automatically begin to get thick, as you can see here, and you're just going to work with it and you're going to continuously stir it. If done correctly, it should look exactly like this, and you can take it off the heat, cover it, and set it to the side because we are now about to make our cauliflower rice. So I want you to grab a saute pan and add another 1 tablespoon of olive oil or any oil of your choice. Then you're going to take the chilled cauliflower rice that you created and you are going to dump that into the pan. I want you to cook this for a couple minutes, about 4 to 5 minutes, just to make sure that it's not sticking, it's not mushy, and all of that moisture is out of that cauliflower. As you can see, it should look like rice. It should look just like this. If you do not want to use cauliflower, please use whatever rice that you prefer. So after about 5 minutes, you are going to drop about 1 tablespoon of butter in here. This is just 1 tablespoon just broken up, so it looks like 2, but it is 1. So you are going to allow that butter to melt into the cauliflower. Once the cauliflower becomes like a transparent color, it is done, but we need to season this. So now we're going to season this with 1 teaspoon of salt and then 1 teaspoon of cracked black pepper. Everybody is asking me where did I get the pepper from. I made it. I buy the black peppercorns and then I just take a mortar and I crack them. So that is all the seasoning that you need. If you want to add different seasoning, I do not suggest that you do it in this dish because this is a very flavorful dish. The seasoned meat and then the sauce will actually help season this because you're going to eat this together. So after you put the salt and pepper in there, you just want to give it a nice toss, let it cook for another couple minutes, and then you're completely done. You have just created some pepper steak and cauliflower rice. So now it is time for us to plate this dish. So you can use whatever plating that you want, any kind of tableware, but I'm going to use this bowl right here. So before you plate it, what you're going to do is just allow the cauliflower rice just to cool for a minute. So just to set that to the side, but I'm going to show you how I plated it. I always show y'all how I plate my food. So what I'm going to do is put it in this bowl, and then I am going to give you guys a close-up of what the cauliflower rice should look like. This is a very healthy alternative to rice. So now we're just going to grab the pepper steak that you made and you're just going to give it a toss because this was kind of waiting, I believe, like 5 minutes for the rice to get done. It should look exactly like this. I'm hoping that everybody can see. So now what we're going to do is just simply pile on the pepper steak into the bowl. If you want to do this on a platter, by all means go ahead, but again, I'm just showing you how you would plate this for one person. So now what you're gonna do is just make sure you have the sauce, the peppers, and of course the steak. And before you do this, just go ahead and taste what you just made. If you want more sauce, add more sauce. If you want more vegetables, add more vegetables. And also keep in mind that I used a half head of cauliflower. So now you are completely done. If you are practicing keto, keto, or on a health journey, this is a very good meal. So like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video.